for attending the 5th State of the City address by Mayor Judge. A couple housekeeping items first. For anybody who needs to use the restrooms are right back by where you came in, for anybody who's not familiar. So if you need to go to the restroom, please feel free to do so around that way. If you would, just maybe make sure that your mobile device is either silenced or turned off, as to not interrupt during the address. And at the end, or towards the end, after Mayor Judge is done with his slide presentation, we do have some index cards that we'll pass out. If anybody has any questions with pens or pencils, you'll be able to write it down on there. Then we'll bring those index cards up, and Mayor Judge will take each index card. The reason we do that is so that we can have documentation of the questions as well as his answers. And then we can post that information out there so that anybody else who may not be able to attend tonight that has the same questions, they'll be able to hear those responses also. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you again for coming to Mayor Judge's 5th State of the City address. And we won't keep you too awful long, and I won't have too much other to say, even though most people will expect me to talk for the first half hour. So with that, I'd like to, it's my honor and privilege to introduce Mayor Bill Judge.
Thank you very much. As Joe said, we won't keep you very long. We'll try to get through this. I know the Cavs come on at 7. So. It's also my understanding, at least in school, that bad kids always sit in the back. So you guys are doing pretty good. The city of Barberton prides itself on being a community with a long history, deep roots, a robust work ethic, strong neighborhoods, and effective government. We have proven durability, resiliency, dedication, and innovation. Good evening, and thank you for attending my State of the City address, recapping the 2016 year, as well as looking at 2017 and the next few years. I'd like to thank our residents for your support and for being dedicated to not only myself, but also to my administration. Also with that, I'd like to thank my staff and our employees for their continued dedication, hard work, and commitment to serving our residents and our community. Our employees, they make the difference. I'd like to thank them for the service they provide. I want to thank our local unions, including the International Association of Firefighters, Local 329, the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, OPBA, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local 265, and Ohio Council 8. Our employees are well trained, determined to provide quality service, and they take pride in the work that they do for the city of Barberton. I'd like to recognize a few elected officials in the audience with us today. If you could, I'll go through them. If you could hold your applause until the end. We have 2nd Ward Councilwoman Nina Angela, 3rd Ward Councilman Elwood Palmer, 4th Ward Councilman Craig Medges, 5th Ward Councilwoman Joyce Coburn, 6th Ward Councilwoman Carol Fry, at-large Councilman Mike Sawyers, and at-large Councilwoman Carla DeBevick, our Law Director Lisa Kolish-Miller. Representing our County Executive Eileen Shapiro, we have Greta Johnson, and Diane Stevenson from the Barberton Clerk of Courts. We also have with us former Mayor and State Legislator Kenny Cox. Thank you for being here. I'd also like to introduce our School Superintendent Patty Cleary, who will be retiring later this summer and will be missed greatly. But her replacement, Mr. Jeff Ramnitz, will be taking over for August 1st, correct? Thank you for being here. President Franklin D. Roosevelt said, "The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today." The city of Barberton celebrated its 125th anniversary in 2016. During the past 125 years, Barberton has seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have witnessed periods of growth and periods of decline surrounding our local economy, the population, demographics, and our finances. But no matter what the situation is, we continue to do more with less. We continue to experience success at varying levels, and we have capitalized on those successes, improving our infrastructure, expanding our tax base, addressing the needs of the community, and improving the quality of life for Barbertonians. During 2016, the 125th anniversary of the Magic City was kicked off with a celebration starting on Founders Day, March 23rd. And I was fortunate enough to address students at both Elementary East and Elementary West, as well as plant a tree marking the occasion at both schools. This was followed by the Walk of Fame induction later in the afternoon. The Barberton Walk of Fame. It is important to me. It's extremely important that our kids, the kids of Barberton, realize that anything is possible. That they realize that politicians, inventors, athletes, authors, musicians, war heroes, and many others have come from Barberton. As a community that prides itself on the people who make up this community, our Walk of Fame stands to honor those who have achieved great things in their respected fields. We are currently taking nominations for the 2017 Walk of Fame induction ceremony, which will be held later this year during the Mung Festival. A little bit about city finances. Here is a comparison graph of revenues versus expenses, 2011 through anticipated 2017. For the 6th year in a row, my administration has been and continues to be fiscally responsible, meeting budget requirements, including the minimum fund balance policy established by City Council. We've provided a capital budget which includes many important projects, programs, and capital purchases, including vehicles, dump trucks, plows, police vehicles, etc. We have also continued to build the Emergency Reserve Fund, which was started in 1996 for the purpose of saving money to be used during times of emergency and need for public facilities and programs. The fund, which has been used during difficult times, has been built up over the past few years and now carries a balance of over $630,000. The goal is to have over $1 million available for the future, and I anticipate that we will reach this goal over the next couple of years. But there are a lot of unknowns and unforeseen issues that could affect us. I also want to stress that even though $1 million may seem like a lot of money, in the big picture of the city's daily duties and responsibilities, this is just the start, and we'd like to continue to build this reserve. Several years ago, the City of Barberton, the City of Norton, and Copley Township collaborated on a joint dispatch center. The center, located in the City of Norton, is a state-of-the-art facility that was previously built in Norton. And with the demand for joint ventures like this, and the combining of dispatch centers throughout the state of Ohio, this was a perfect fit. A way to contain cost, increase efficiencies, be more effective in our processes, and the sharing of resources was the goal, and that goal was met. The state of Ohio took notice, and in 2016 we were awarded the Taxpayer Hero Award from the state auditor, Dave Yost. And this serves as another example of the openness and willingness to work together between our communities, saving taxpayer money, creating a better system, and working to improve your quality of life. With increased cost in health insurance, personnel, capital expenses, and other operational and maintenance expenditures, we continue to look for ways to contain cost, increase revenue, and continue to provide the services that our residents and our businesses expect. We continue to seek and use grant funding in part or whole for many events and projects that we have or are working on in town. These grants are essential to not only capital projects, but the purchases that they're important for purchases, also for various initiatives that we are planning for that will improve the quality of life for our residents. For example, we are in the process of applying for a Nature Works grant in the amount of $65,000 to construct an all-inclusive playground at McCafferty Park. This will be ADA compliant and accessible. It will feature a playground that include various sensory elements, adaptive swing sets, and wheelchair accessible platforms. And it will be rated for children between the ages of 2 and 12 years old. If successful with this grant, as an example, the installation won't be until spring of 2018. We also continue to improve our infrastructure throughout town. Since 2014, with the help of taxpayers, with the passage of Issue 8, the income tax increase is designated for street resurfacing. we have leveraged your tax dollars of almost $1.7 million for an additional $7.1 million for various road construction projects throughout town. And you can see these are some of the AMAX projects that we were successful. The total construction cost of a little over $8.8 million that we've been awarded. That's the total construction cost. Our out-of-pocket cost is about $1.6 million, almost $1.7 million, but we've received over $7.1 million in grant money that was going to go to someone, and it's come to the city of Barberton because of the passage of Issue 8. You can also see, for example, Robinson Avenue in 2014 cost just over $500,000. We only had to pay $103,000. Uncle Sam wrote us a check for $413,000. Other examples, 2017, we'll be putting a light at Worcester Road North so you can make a left onto Hoppekin. $13,000. My favorite price, $0. So being able to leverage your tax dollars is vital. This does not, what I'm showing you up here, does not include our residential or regular residential resurfacing program or other major projects, including 9th Street Northeast or other projects. All in all, there has been an investment in our road infrastructure of over $10 million since the passage of Issue 8. Speaking of 9th Street Northeast, in 2016 we started the full reconstruction of this roadway. This almost 1 mile in length road had been in disrepair and in need of resurfacing for many years. We were able to update water, sewer, and storm lines, including tying the residential storm downspouts into the storm drain under the street, provide new aprons for homeowners, add curbs and gutters, provide some uniformity in terms of street width, and provide full-depth paving. We were also able to correct a 45-degree angle turn at the State Street, 9th Street intersection. This has been turned into a much safer 90-degree turn from Houston to State Street for drivers. So if you're not unfamiliar with this, here's 9th Street, which was reconstructed. And there's a 45-degree turn here, which was very dangerous. So we took that out, and we're doing some stormwater retention in this area. So anyone traveling northbound on 9th Street has to make a right on Houston. It's more of a 90-degree angle, much safer turn for drivers on the State Street. So this has been removed, and we're doing some underground storage for stormwater. So not only did we correct a safety issue, but we're doing some flood mitigation as well. With our improvements in street resurfacing and other infrastructure, I want to update you on the efforts for mitigating stormwater. We continue to work with Copley Township and the City of Norton in forming the Wolf Creek Conservancy District. But it was recently discovered that a larger portion of the City of Barberton is in the Muskingum watershed. We are currently working with those from Muskingum and the courts in addressing this and moving forward. And I anticipate positive movement by year's end. We've also addressed issues that affect our existing storm sewer lines. For example, here's a map of the southern section of Barberton. Specifically, I want to point out right here, the Snyder Avenue, 1st Street, Lamberton area. If you're unfamiliar with this area, there's a kind of a creek bed that runs through here that at this point goes into our storm line. Our storm lines in this area, they're additionally taxed by that creek that run directly into the storm line, carrying stormwater and debris from the southeast side of town in a much larger runoff area. These are 2 pictures of debris from inside the storm line that was running under 1st Street, southeast. These are from 2014. You can clearly see a buildup of debris here and standing water that's non-moving, that's backed up. The picture on the left is there's a tire, some railroad ties, a shopping cart. All those things were pulled out in this muck from that 1st Street storm line. Since then, we have spent a lot of resources on cleaning these storm lines and creating an aggressive, routine sewer maintenance cleaning program. In 2016, we also added a grate system that will stop large items from entering the storm line. So this is a creek going into the storm line. This sewer grate was put in to to stop those large objects from going in. Water has been and will continue to flow as it naturally should throughout our system. Our street department has also rebuilt over 30 inlets on average per year for the last 11 years. These inlets vary in cost to rebuild, time to rebuild, the complexity and the resources needed to rebuild them, but they've made a significant impact on storm water mitigation. These are just a few examples of our efforts to mitigate stormwater and your stormwater fees at work. There are many other projects we're working on to mitigate stormwater, and I'd like to thank the members of the Flood Action Committee for their involvement and participation in the committee and the projects we've worked on. The City of Barberton is fortunate to have our own water treatment and wastewater treatment facilities. In 2016, the City of Barberton completed the acquisition and expansion of our sewer system by accepting the sewer project in the Nash Heights area of the City of Norton. Nash Heights is under findings and orders from the EPA for failed septic systems, but the City of Barberton has the capacity for additional flow, and the additional customers not only helps expand our service area, but stabilizes rates for all customers. The City of Barberton previously purchased the sewer lines in the City of Norton from which we were previously owned by the County of Summit. So this makes the City of Barberton the sole sewer provider for the entire City of Norton. We've already heard from several developers and other neighborhoods in Norton who want the sewer system expanded so they can hook up. Developers are always seeking areas to expand where city sewer and water systems are available. Now, last year's State of the City address, I discussed this project and the growth and the positive impact it has on both communities, our residents and businesses. We are in the process of expanding our sewer services into the city of New Franklin as well. This will again provide a service that is needed in an area, and that it'll also help stabilize sewer rates for all customers. When we talk about thinking regionally and making policy or decisions that are for the common good, these types of agreements are paramount to this effort. New for 2017, the city is rolling out a new meter reading system for our water system. We will have more details soon, but the current system has outlived its useful life, and technology has changed a great deal. We're close to going out for bid for this new system, which will be quicker, more efficient, and will be an upgrade to our current system. One of the most challenging aspects of being mayor is dealing with issues and problems that I, or we as a council, or we as a city have little or no control over. We can, and we are, addressing the issue of flooding, infrastructure, economic development, and other items. But there are issues that we try to attack and address, but the problem is overwhelming. The epidemic of opiate abuse has taken center stage over the past few years. The City of Barberton, our police department, court system, and other personnel have been engaged in task force meetings and planning sessions for several years. Working with the County of Summit, the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Board, ADM, Summit County Public Health Department, various law enforcement agencies, and political reps at every level, as well as many other organizations, we are working hard to combat this epidemic that is affecting not only our community, but our county, our state, and the entire country. Earlier this year, we held a public informational meeting at the Barberton Salvation Army. Thank you, Captain Jones, for allowing us to hold it there. This informational meeting consists of panelists from the local, county, and state levels, from the judicial, legislative, political, and first responders and nonprofit sides. We discussed the role that each of us play in this fight, the challenges that we come across, and how we work together from various aspects to address this epidemic that we're facing. I sincerely appreciate the ability to work alongside these groups with a common goal and looking for ways to address and combat this issue. Partners like SUMA, Barberton Hospital, the Barberton Community Foundation, and all other organizations that play a part with this epidemic continue to work together, and we know that brighter days are ahead of us. There are pamphlets in the back and information concerning opiates and the epidemic that we're facing. Please feel free to help yourself to those pamphlets and use them at home, give them to a family member or a friend. It's very important that we get the information out. During last year's State of the City address, I mentioned the need for a new Justice Center and the efforts underway in building a new Justice Center. We continue to move forward in this effort. Right on cue. Just kind of lost my space. We continue to move forward with this effort. The current municipal building was constructed in 1952, yet just 6 years later, in 1958, the city and the courts started discussing the need for a new Justice Center. We are now closer now than ever before on a new Justice Center, but there's still a long way to go. In the meantime, the safety of our employees, our vendors, customers, and most importantly our residents continues to be important. We have put into place safeguards, including a metal detector and screening area for bags, and briefcases, and etc. You know, we live in a different time, and despite the inefficiencies of this building, which the new Justice Center will address, providing security to keep you safe is what we're doing. The last aspect I want to touch on before announcing a new initiative is our economic development efforts. I've dedicated my second term in office here towards growing our tax base and economic development. As we continue to grow and expand our arts and entertainment district, we look for current companies in town to expand and other businesses looking to move into the city. The arts and entertainment district continues to grow and receive attention from artists from outside of Barberton. Working with Neighborhood Development Services, NDS, we were able to bring Summit Art Space into the city to manage ACOT and help develop programming, art space, and future projects and programs. The Merchants Association started Fourth Friday events. This was originally started with the high school DECA team members. And each month, this continues to grow downtown. The Barberton Community Leadership Institute hosted the 2016 Tuscany on Tusk. That brought thousands into downtown Barberton, partnered with the Walk of Fame induction ceremony and the introduction of the lights over Tusk for our Sabbath. Down here in the lower corner, we kicked it with Kenny and Fox 8 News in 2016, and we continue to build and expand our downtown businesses. 2017, we'll see new shops and businesses moving into town. The continuation of our multi-year downtown infrastructure projects, which includes the removal of the sidewalk trees, the sidewalk replacement, the festoon lighting, etc. We anticipate several breweries and a wine bar to open this year, and the rooftop patio above Cave. And an update on that, for the next 3 weeks, for Sunday and Monday, Cave will be closed for the construction of the rooftop patio, but by the end of May, that should be open. Is that correct? Right. I just wanted to verify. Also for 2017, we are working on creating a property assessed clean energy financing district, or PACE district, a lot easier to say. A PACE district is an innovative mechanism for financing energy efficiency and renewable energy improvements on private property. PACE programs allow local governments to fund the upfront cost of energy improvements on commercial and residential properties. This amount is paid back over time by the property owners through a savings obtained by the upgrades. This financing model, which involves energy efficiency and renewable energy, allows the property owner to implement improvements without a large upfront cash payment. Property owners voluntarily choose to participate in the PACE program and repay their improvements typically over a 10 to 20 year program or years through a property assessment. Last week, through economic development, we cut the ribbon on the Signet expansion, which includes 100 new jobs within 2 years. And later this year, the Akron Rubber Development Laboratories will be cementing their place here at the Magic City with new jobs and the opportunity for additional growth. We continue to work with many companies who call Barberton home. Babcox & Wilcox, Suma Health, PPG, Arconic, and Malco Industries, to name a few. From the small sole proprietor storefronts to large corporations, the city of Barberton is business friendly. We're a community that wants to see our business community succeed as well. Since taking office, we have addressed and continued to have a lot of success in rebuilding our infrastructure, creating the Arts and Entertainment District, that continues to grow, expanding our services outside of our borders, and growing our tax base. This year, we will be addressing our neighborhood issues and rebuilding our neighborhoods through a grassroots effort. Other communities have defined neighborhoods with a long history. For example, in the city of Akron, you have Goodyear Heights, Firestone Park, Kenmore, the Valley, North Hill, a lot of different neighborhoods. Here in the city of Barberton, we have the same thing. We have Glenbrae, Columbia Heights, Van Heining, and a lot of other neighborhoods. I think over time, these neighborhoods have lost their defined border. They may have lost their identity and maybe a little bit of their history, but they've never lost their relevance. It's time to continue this initiative that we started in 2012, titled Barberton Forward, Neighborhoods First. We've already started working with various neighborhoods and addressing issues specific to that neighborhood. Whether it's crime, property maintenance issues, housing stock, business growth, public park upgrades, and other concerns, we will address these in a concentrated effort to rebuild and grow our neighborhoods. I strongly feel that residents are the fabric of the community, and strong homes, strong residents create strong neighborhoods. Strong neighborhoods thus create strong sections of town, and strong sections of town create a strong community. I also understand that there are things that we, the city, can do in this effort, but there's other things and other issues affecting neighborhoods that we can't do, and in some cases the government should not be addressing. But we are working with various agencies and organizations who will assist the city of Barberton with these issues. Organizations like Neighborhood Development Services, the Salvation Army, the Barberton Community Foundation, BACM, South Zone Chamber of Commerce, NCS, and a host of others are here to assist our residents with various programs. Whatever the problem or issue is in your neighborhood, the city of Barberton is here to help. We're here to help correct that problem. If we can't fix the issue, we will be the conduit or the bridge for another organization to step in and help. This phase of Barberton Forward Neighborhoods First is threefold. First, we want to meet with the city council rep and resident leaders from that neighborhood. These leaders, they're going to represent their neighborhood and be the liaison between the city and the neighborhood. We will meet with the residents to learn of the issues and problems facing the neighborhood. Two, we want to identify the neighborhood. What's the border of that neighborhood? What's the best name or identity for that neighborhood? The assets of the neighborhood. Are there city parks, city services, schools, churches, businesses, resident leaders in that neighborhood? And what are the liabilities of that neighborhood? Is it infrastructure, housing stock, property maintenance, crime? Are there issues that an NDS, an NCS, or the Salvation Army, or Stark State, or College Now can address? And three, we will work with these organizations and their residents to make the neighborhoods sustainable. Now I realize that I'm somewhat simplifying this in the process of addressing these neighborhood issues, but there's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there that once corrected can be very impactful to that household, or to that street or block, or to that neighborhood, and thus to the community. If the city has a responsibility to keep up on infrastructure and parks, etc., and a homeowner has a duty to keep their property up, doesn't the same responsibility fall on business owners, churches, and other organizations within a neighborhood? Picture, if you will, a neighborhood that has life, has pride, perhaps block parties. They look out for each other. The comings, the goings of their neighbors. They take pride in their properties and in their street. They notify the city when there's an issue. They become a community within itself. This is possible. The Barberton Forward Neighborhoods First is the way to get there. We already have this in certain neighborhoods throughout the city, so we're not reinventing the wheel here. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you I'd be brief. We have positioned the city for continued growth and development, expanding our services, continuing to build our tax base, improving our neighborhoods, streets, parks, housing stock. But between funding cuts at the state level and unknown but anticipated cuts or elimination of funds at the federal level, the Magic City is alive, and we will continue to fight to improve your quality of life. I want to thank you again for coming this evening and for your continued support.
If Any other index cards, questions?
I did receive a few questions versus via email. If you want me to go through these. I received a question several years ago, before I had my daughter, of who let the dogs out, and I found out who let the dogs out. A few questions here. This is kind of a loaded question that seems to come up every year, but it probably has come up over the past 40 years. But do you think Barberton and Norton should merge? Have there been talks about this? Again, Barberton and Norton have been talking about merging. There's been merger studies, 2 or 3 of them. It's gone to the voters. It's failed. I think that there's a lot of sharing of resources now. There have been no discussions with Norton on merging. That's a huge step. There's a lot of history in Norton, a lot of history in Barberton. I think that we're going to continue down the road of sharing services and doing what's best for the residents. But as of now, there's been no discussion of merger yet. Will the walking track be reopened at the foundation field after the work is complete? Yes. So once they get the cell phone tower up and running, they will redo the landscape, put some tire marks and some stuff. They'll reopen the walking path. What is in place to ensure that Lake Anna looks as nice as possible and it's kept looking good? We've made some internal changes with our workforce to provide additional resources to make the focal point of town a focal point. We want to bring as many people to Lake Anna as possible. There's, whether it's Lake Anna or other parks or a lot of other things in our city, it's aging, and the cost continues to go up on resources to fix those aging items, whether it's lighting, concrete, a bathhouse, whatever it is. So we're doing as much as we can to apply for grant money to address some of these issues, especially at Lake Anna. We've made some changes internally to provide for some additional resources for our parks. So I think that once we get up to where we need to be, we shouldn't have an issue with keeping it looking as it should be. So we're moving in that fashion. What is going on with the parking lot behind the theater? For several years now, we've been working with the merchants on the parking lot behind the theater, between the theater and Worcester Road West. How can we get more parking there? How can we make it more attractive? There's a lot of, the main thoroughfare, if you remember, used to be Tusk Avenue. Now it's been moved over a block. If you're not from Barberton or you're new to Barberton, you may not realize what's a block away, let alone 2 blocks away with the lake. So we want to redo, we have plans this year to redo the parking lot behind the theater. Parking the vehicles in a different manner. Right now they're kind of angled parking east to west. If you had straightforward parking north to south, you can get an additional 46-ish parking spots. And we want to resurface it, make it more attractive. Have all the trash bins in one location for the merchants, so the trash company doesn't pick up the bin, empty it, and then move it down the parking lot. So we've got a major kind of overhaul of that parking lot, which is really going to improve access for the parking lot, kind of your parking experience, if you will, and draw more attention to the businesses that are downtown. Another question, does the new president's plans affect the city, and if so, how? The federal government, the new president, President Trump, has cut community development block grant money to 0. This is a grant that there's 2 ways you're going to get it. If you're 50,000 residents or more, you automatically get it. Or if your demographics are such, like Barberton, you get the CDBG, that's what it's called, funding. We've received it almost every year since the inception of the program. We typically get about $650,000 a year that we can use on a lot of different programs and projects throughout the city. At one point, we used to get close to $1.2 million in CDBG money. So you can see how that's declined over the years. So one example that you may be aware of, the theater. That was built with CDBG money, redone. So there's a lot of different things that we can do with that money. So for the president to come in and kind of nix that to zero is going to be devastating to not only the city of Barberton, but the county of Summit, Akron, city of Boston, city of New York, a lot of these communities throughout the country. Also, there's been a 30% cut in EPA allocation. We've done a lot to foster relationships with the owners of these old industrial sites. There are some large tracts of land throughout the city, but they're old industrial sites that need cleaned up. There's certain standards to clean those up. If those standards aren't met, developers will not even look at those sites. So we have a lot of interest, a lot of great things going on in the community. But if we can't acquire those lots, that land, those tracts of land, and clean them up to a certain standard, we're not going to get larger developments in town. We've got all the pieces of the puzzle put together to make this happen. We're just not sure if there's going to be new standards to the EPA, if there's going to be loss of funding. We're just really not sure what the federal government's going to do with the EPA funds. But for now, there is a 30% cut in those funds. And it's kind of difficult. We start January 1st to December 31st. The president has to have his budget passed by, I believe, October 1st. So, we're kind of floating on a hope and not knowing until October 1st. So we're taking every step possible to reach out to our elected officials at the state and the federal level to make sure they know how important these funds are to communities like ours. You addressed the opiate epidemic. Has there been any discussion about sober living within the city? I'm assuming sober living homes or housing. Perhaps vacant properties can be used to at least to agencies fighting the epidemic and providing treatment. The homes that are vacant in town that are on our radar are in such a deplorable condition that you can't live in them, let alone have a treatment center located in the vacant home. There really hasn't been we've not been approached by any agencies that want to construct a sober living house. There's a few scattered throughout the county. There's a lot of different criteria to have these homes and to have them operated. There's perceptions that go along with those types of facilities, let alone the rules and regulations that follow those as well. So we've seen funding cut. We've seen our state rep, the former state rep, Greta Johnson, very vocal about the state coming out and spending some of this reserve money to help in with this epidemic, and no response was given, just nothing. So we have not been approached. We are working with the ADM board, with the Summit County Health Department, Summit County, the county itself, various agencies and law enforcement, and sit on various task forces. How do we address this problem? It's so big. When we talk about other law enforcement agencies, we're not talking about just the local ones. We're talking about DEA agencies, FBI. This is huge. It's a big, nasty problem. It's just not the drug seller, and it's just not the drug user. You consider the family of the addict. You have to consider the staff of the first responders and the staff of the treatment center. This is such a proportion that some of the secondary groups aren't equipped emotionally or mentally to deal with someone who's OD'd 10 or more times. It's got to be very traumatic to be a first responder and to have someone OD for the 10th time and you bring them back to life. Mentally, emotionally, that does a lot to you. So we're trying to address this problem from various angles, and there's no simple solution. There's no easy one solution. There's a lot of things that are affecting this issue. We'll take all suggestions, all ideas, and see what we can do. But this is kind of a problem that you can throw money at it and get some relief. Whether it's more treatment centers, additional beds, you're not going to arrest your way out of it. So trying to take all of that into context, into effect, there's no easy task, but we're working in that manner. Lastly, what is the cost of the Norton Nash Heights sewer project? This sewer project is approximately $8 million. If you're a Barberton resident or already a sewer customer, your bill will not be increased to subsidize this project. There's a lot of no interest or low interest loans that are grants that are tied to this project. They have already started the project in Nash Heights with setting up the equipment, and it should take about a year.
Yes, it needs to be complete within 2 years, but it'll probably be done within 1.
Now, again, your bills will not be used to subsidize this project. This is something that's very much needed, not only for Nash Heights and the residents there, but it really does expand our services and it helps stabilize the bills or the invoices, the cost to residents over the long term. So it's really a win-win for everyone. And we do have capacity at our plant, so it's not like we have to make major upgrades to take this on. So, are there any other questions? About 17 minutes until the cabs start. Well, again, I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for coming tonight. I think that we're on pace. We're on track to do a lot of amazing things. I can't do it myself. The city of Barberton can't do it itself. We have amazing employees. We have amazing and awesome nonprofits and organizations in town that have a common goal. It just makes the job a lot easier. And when you can sit down and have a conversation about issue A and see it from all sides and how's the best way to address it, what money we can use to fix it or to address it, really makes a huge difference. So I want to thank you for your support and again for being here tonight.